The Lagos Carnival was an explosion of color and life, transforming the bustling city into a playground of joy and excitement. For 18-year-old Adaeze, it was the highlight of the year, a moment to immerse herself in music, dance, and the magical atmosphere of Lagos. The air was filled with the scent of roasted corn and suya, and the streets buzzed with performers in elaborate costumes. Adaeze wandered the carnival with her best friend Chiamaka, who was bubbling with excitement. "Look at that!" Chiamaka squealed, pointing to a group of drummers creating a hypnotic rhythm. "This year's carnival is amazing." But Adaeze felt distracted, her attention drawn towards the towering fireworks setup in Tafawa Balewa Square. She didn't know why, but she felt an almost magnetic pull towards the flames that would soon light up the sky. As night fell, the first fireworks shot into the air, painting the sky with brilliant golden sparks. The crowd cheered, their faces illuminated by the dazzling display. Adaeze smiled, caught up in the beauty of it all, until a sudden gasp rippled through the audience. A firework veered off course, flying towards a group of children near a popcorn stand. The crowd screamed in panic, but Adaeze froze. Without thinking, she raised her hands and something incredible happened. The fireball halted midair, its flames flickering as if under her control. Then, with a sharp thought, the fire dissolved into harmless embers, scattering in the wind. The crowd erupted into applause, thinking it was part of the show. But Adaeze stood trembling. Her hands tingled with warmth and her heart pounded. What had just happened? Maka grabbed her arm. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern in her voice. Adaeze forced a smile and nodded, but inside she was reeling. She slipped away from the carnival, her mind racing. She had expected magic from the carnival, but not this. Not with something inside her. Adaeze, however, could barely eat. Her hands trembled as she held her spoon, and her mother's sharp eyes noticed. "Adaeze, are you feeling all right?" she asked, her tone concerned. Adaeze hesitated, unsure if she would share what had happened. But the weight of it was too much to bear alone. "Mom," she began softly, "if something strange happens, something I can't explain, would you believe me?" Her mother set her spoon down and looked at her intently. "What happened, Adaeze?" she asked. Her voice was calm but serious, and it encouraged Adaeze to open up. Slowly, she recounted the events of the carnival, the stray firework, the flames stopping mid-air, and the warmth that lingered in her palms. Her mother listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When Adaeze finished, her mother stood and motioned for her to follow. In the quiet of the living room, her mother retrieved a small wooden box from a cabinet. Inside were old photographs, brittle papers, and a bronze flame-shaped pendant. "Belonged to your great-grandmother, Ozioma," her mother began, holding up the pendant. "She was special, like you. Our family has a gift, an ability to command fire. It skips generations, and I thought it had passed us by." Adeze's jaw dropped. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice tinged with hurt. Her mother sighed. "Because I didn't think it would manifest, and because it's not just a gift, it's a burden. People fear what they don't understand. Some will want to control you, and others will try to destroy you." Adaeze stared at the pendant, her mind spinning. "What do I do now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mother placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You learn, control it, and you never let it control you." Determined to understand her powers, Adaeze turned to Nnamdi, a classmate known for his inventive mind. She trusted his curiosity and intelligence, and she needed someone to help her make sense of what was happening. One afternoon after school, she confided in him, recounting the events of the carnival and her mother's revelation. Nnamdi's reaction surprised her. Instead of skepticism, his eyes lit up with fascination. "This is incredible!" he exclaimed. "If we can control fire, we need to figure out how it works." The two began meeting in secret at an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Lagos. Nnamdi brought his notebook, scribbling down ideas and designing experiments. Together they tested the limits of Adaeze's powers. She discovered she could summon flames with a flick of her wrist, shape them into orbs, and extinguish them with a single thought. But her progress came with challenges. Each time she used her powers, she felt drained, as if the fire sapped her energy. Nnamdi reassured her that it was like exercising a muscle. Her strength would grow with practice. His optimism was infectious, and Adaeze began to look forward to their sessions, not just for the progress she made, but for the companionship they shared. One evening, after a tough practice, Adaeze managed to hold a steady flame in her hands for a few minutes. Tired but excited, she laughed and fell to the floor. Nnamdi sat next to her, his notebook forgotten. "You're amazing," he said, his voice soft. Adaeze turned to him, her smile fading as their eyes met. For a moment, the air between them felt electric. Before she could process it, Nnamdi leaned in as if to kiss her. "I'm sorry," he stammered, pulling back. But Adaeze grabbed his arm, stopping him. "Don't apologize," she said, her cheeks warm. From that moment on, their bond deepened. Nnamdi became more than her collaborator. He became her partner, her uncle, the one person who made her believe she could handle the weight of her powers. As Adaeze's abilities grew, so did the dangers surrounding her. One day, during a late-night session, Nnamdi revealed something that made her stomach drop. He confessed that he had been approached by a mysterious group called the Shadow. They claimed to know about her powers and had offered him resources in exchange for information about her. "I didn't tell them anything," Nnamdi said firmly, his eyes pleading for her trust. "But they are watching you, Adaeze. They are dangerous." The revelation shook her. She wanted to trust Nnamdi, but the idea that someone had been observing her without her knowledge sent a chill down her spine. Determined to protect herself, she decided to investigate on her own. Her search led her to a warehouse on the outskirts of Lagos, where she encountered the Flame Keepers, a secretive organization dedicated to guiding and protecting fire wielders like her. The leader, a stern but kind man named Babaolu, explained the history of her powers. "Your abilities are part of an ancient lineage," Babaolu said, "but there are others like you, and not all of them use their gift responsibly. The shadow corrupts fire wielders, twisting them into weapons for their own gain." Adaeze listened intently, her heart heavy. The Flame Keepers warned her of an imminent threat. A fire wielder aligned with the shadow was planning to use their powers at the upcoming carnival. "You know this person," Babaolu said. "They've been close to you all along." The second carnival arrived, but for Adaeze, the excitement was clouded by a sense of dread. She couldn't shake the Flame Keeper's warning. The night unfolded like a dream, with music, dancing, and dazzling performances. But when the masked fire dancer stepped onto the stage, her stomach tightened. The fire dancer's flames were mesmerizing, weaving intricate patterns in the air. The crowd cheered, unaware of the growing danger. Adaeze, however, could feel it. The fire was wild, untamed, and dangerous. When the performer launched a massive fireball towards the crowd, Adaeze sprang into action. Her flames collided with the fireball, creating a blinding explosion of light and heat. The crowd screamed, scattering as the two fire wielders clashed. Adaeze pushed herself to her limit, blocking attack after attack, her own flames crackling with intensity. In the heat of the battle, the fire dancer's mask slipped. Adaeze froze, her heart sinking. "Chiamaka," she whispered, disbelief etched across her face. Chiamaka smirked, her eyes burning with anger. "Surprised? You shouldn't be. The shadow showed me what I could become. I won't let you or anyone else stop me." Adaeze's heart broke. "This isn't you, Chiamaka. You don't have to do this." But Chiamaka's bitterness ran deep. "You would never understand," she spat. "You've always been the special one, the perfect one. I'm done living in your shadow." The battle raged across the stage, their flames clashing in spectacular bursts of light. Adaeze tried to reason with Chiamaka, but her words fell on deaf ears. The crowd had fled, leaving only destruction in their wake. Adaeze hesitated, unable to bring herself to harm her friend. Her flames faltered, and for a moment Chiamaka gained the upper hand, summoning a furious serpent to harm Adaeze. Just as Chiamaka prepared to unleash a devastating attack, Nnamdi intervened. From a safe distance, he activated a device he had built, a dampener designed to suppress fire-wielding abilities. A high-pitched hum filled the air, and Chiamaka's flames flickered before dying out completely. "No!" Chiamaka screamed, stumbling as her power drained away. Innkeepers arrived moments later, surrounding Chiamaka and securing her with specialized restraints. As they led her away, Adaeze called out to her, tears streaming down her face. "Chiamaka, this isn't over. I'll find a way to help you." Chiamaka didn't respond. Her silence cut deeper than any flame. In the days that followed, Adaeze struggled to process what had happened. She had saved lives, but it felt like she had failed her friend. Nnamdi was her constant source of support, his steady presence keeping her grounded when the weight of her powers threatened to overwhelm her. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop of his workshop, Adaeze finally opened up. "What if I'm not strong enough to handle this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Nnamdi took her hand, his gaze steady. "You are not alone, Adaeze. Whatever happens, I will be right here." Their partnership deepened as they began working with the Flame Keepers to protect others like Adaeze and dismantle the Shadow's operations. Nnamdi's inventions became vital tools in their fight, from gloves that stabilized her flames to gadgets that absorbed excess heat. One night, after a successful mission to rescue a young fire wielder from the Shadow's grasp, Adaeze turned to Nnamdi. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You never have to," Nnamdi replied, his voice soft but resolute. In that moment, they made an unspoken commitment, not just to their cause, but to each other. Adaeze and Nnamdi became an unstoppable team. Together, they built a network of allies, rescuing fire wielders and helping them find safety. Adaeze's story spread among the gifted, inspiring others to resist oppression and embrace their abilities. One evening, as they stood on the rooftop overlooking Lagos, Adaeze held the bronze flame pendant tightly in her hand. "We've come so far," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Nnamdi wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "And we're just getting started." As flames flickered at her fingertips, Adaeze smiled. With Nnamdi by her side, she was ready to face whatever the future held. Together, they were unstoppable.